Changing a decimal into a fraction is actually not that hard, and it's very helpful to know your place values. Let's take a look at the number at top. 17.591. Notice the digit 5 is in the tenths place. The 9 is in the hundredths, the 1 is in the thousandths. So if we were to keep going, we would have tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, millionth, 10 millionth, 100 millionth, and so on. Now, we're not going to need all of these place values for 7th grade, but it is helpful to know them. Now, let's start with a simpler number, 0.3. If we were to read this properly, we would say 0 and 3/10, because the 3 is in the tenths place. So, wait a second, 0 and 3/10, 3/10, can't that also be written like this? 3/10, 3/10. They're the same. So you can see it actually isn't that hard to change a decimal into a fraction, as long as you know how to read it. Let's try another one. 0.26. Now this time there's a 2 in the tenths place and a 6 in the hundredths place. If you put it together, we see it's 0 and 26 hundredths. 26 hundredths can be written like this. 26 hundredths. 26 hundredths. They are the same. Now, sometimes we get a fraction that is not simplified. That means there is a smaller value, a number that can go into both of these to simplify it. Now, as we look, I can see that they are both even numbers. So, if you're unsure what to divide by, you can always start there. The whole number 2 goes into every even number, so let's just take a second and see what this gives us. 100 divided by 2, half of 100 is 50. 26 divided by 2, well, that's 13. Now 13 is a prime number, meaning nothing else goes into it except for 1 and itself. And because 13 does not go into 50, we're done dividing. So 26 hundredths can be written like this, 26 hundredths, but the more simple version of that fraction is 13 fiftieths. Now let's go back to our original decimal number here, 17.591. We're going to write that as a fraction, or technically mixed number, since we've got 17 in the front. So we've got 17 wholes and 591 thousandths. 17 and 591 thousandths. 17 and 591 thousandths, just like the decimal number is written. It's time to make an observation. Notice, in the original decimal, there's 1, 2, 3 digits to the right of the decimal point. Now notice there are 1, 2, 3 zeros in the denominator. In point 26, there are 2 digits to the right of the decimal, and notice when we first wrote it over 100, there were 2 zeros in the denominator. Point 3, 1 digit after the decimal, the denominator is 10, 1 0. So I showed you that so we can observe that even though the denominators are out of 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, and so on, the way you can tell what the denominator should be is based on how many digits are in the decimal part of your number. Let's look at these examples on the Golden Rules page. 0.6. If we read it properly, we see it says 0 and 6/10. Let's follow what we learned just now to this. Let's go ahead and make the decimal part of the number into a fraction by first underlining the decimal part of the number. Done. Now we're going to put something under the decimal point. Okay, well, since it's out of 10, 100, or 1,000, of course this is where the 1 will go. So we're going to put a 1 under the decimal point itself. Done. Now we're going to put something under each digit of the decimal part of your number. So in this case, 6 needs something under it. And like we said, the number of the digits after the decimal should match the number of zeros. So 6 needs a 0. So we will put a 0 under each digit of the decimal part of your number. Done. Now, if you look at this, it looks really silly right now. 0.6 over 10? What? We're going to need to erase the decimal or rewrite it without it. So 6 over 10 is 6/10, a much neater way to write this. Now, if we look, we can tell 6/10, again, they're both even numbers, so it can be simplified by just dividing by what number? What number goes into any even number? 2. So 6 divided by 2 equals 3, and 10 divided by 2 equals 5. So 6/10 can be written like this, and when we simplify it, we see that it is equal to, or has the same value as, 3/5. Now let's check on 18.45 and see if we can change it to a mixed number in this case, because there are 18 wholes. Let's go ahead and write 18 in front of our fraction, because if there are whole numbers in the front of the decimal point, there's going to be whole numbers in front of the fraction. Let's follow the same procedures we just did. Underline the decimal part of your number. Of course, that's not the 18, that's the whole number part. The decimal part is the 45. Now we put a 1 under the decimal point, a 0 under each digit of the decimal part of your number. So 4 gets a 0, 5 gets a 0. Now we're going to erase the decimal and rewrite so it looks like this, 45 over 100. Now let's see if we can simplify. Now we have 18 and 45 hundredths. Notice 100 is even and could be divided by 2, but there are also a lot of other numbers that go into 100. Let's see what will also go into 45. Now 45 is not even, it's an odd number. So is it going to be divisible by 2? No. So this time we're not going to divide by 2. Let's think of another number that goes into both. If you said 5, you are right. Now 45 divided by 5 is equal to 9. Notice I'm saving room in front for my whole number 18. 100 divided by 5. If you're not sure what that is, no problem. Just go to this side. We're going to do 100 divided by 5. Well, 5 goes into 10 twice. 2 times 5 is 10, with none left over. And 5 goes into 0 times. So you can see that 5 goes into 100 20 times. That means 100 divided by 5 is 20. Now we can see that 18.45 is the same as 18 and 45 hundredths. And when we simplify that, it gives us 18 and 9/20. So, changing a decimal into a fraction is actually pretty easy.